Okay, so I would agree that men's horror tends to be penetrative, but I don't know that I necessarily agree that female horror tends to be consumptive. I think that female horror reads that way because it tends to acknowledge and reverse the gender roles that have been established within the horror genre a lot more. Those were a lot of big words, and I'm a bimbo, so let me dumb this down for myself, especially because I am always the dumbest person in the room so that you don't have to be. There are certain gender roles that tend to happen within the horror genre. In fact, there is a very famous quote from Alfred Hitchcock where he said that the best way to elicit empathy and tension within an audience is to torture women. And then he followed it up with, the problem today is that we don't torture women enough. Isn't that lovely? Male audiences tend to be uncomfortable when they see violence done against a man's body, whereas violence done against a female's body is more likely to elicit empathy. A lot of these concepts are covered in the book Men, Women, and Chainsaws by Carol J. Clover, and also the book Scream With Me, which I will link down below. Both are great reads. I highly recommend them. But one of the things that she lays out about these gender roles that happen in horror and slasher is that, for the most part, the largest violence done in horror and slasher is done to a female body. Whereas when men are the victims of the killer, they tend to go out quickly. They're stabbed once, the throat is slashed, they're one and done. But when it's a female victim, it is drawn out so much, and there is so much more violence done to her body. Because the thing is that we are used to violence being done against female bodies in everyday life. It's seen as a normal thing that is tragic that happens. And this is especially held up by the fact that all of these weapons tend to be penetrative. They don't tend to be guns or anything like that. It tends to be stabbing weapons. Horror that is made by women, female horror, tends to acknowledge these gender roles that have stereotypically happened in horror and reverse them. And beyond even that, they tend to be trying to get the audience to understand the female experience, which is why female horror tends to deal with like more emotional metaphors than just like your average slasher film. So like A Girl Who Walks Alone at Night is about subverting gender roles and reversing them, whereas The Babadook is about motherhood and grief, emotional traumas. So I wouldn't say that female horror is consumptive, although I know that Jennifer's Body kind of makes it feel like that, which I love Jennifer's Body, but that's also just subverting gender roles. Like, it's just reversing the gender roles and doing violence to male bodies, which is also why that movie didn't do well, aside from the fact that it had a horrible ad campaign. But thank you for asking this question, because I have been learning a lot about gender roles in horror and filmmaking in general, and I really love talking about this stuff. So please ask more.